So it's been a long time coming, guys. Tonight we're going to be checking out Parfums de Marly Layton. The amount of comments I've gotten on my channel where people are asking me my thoughts on Layton, my thoughts on Parfums de Marly, why I don't talk about Parfums de Marly. I mean, there have been so many comments. People have even made theories that, like, I have something against Parfums de Marly and that I was out to get them just because I didn't talk about them. Like, a bunch of crazy stuff, all because I've never really talked about the brand. And it was nothing against Parfums de Marly. I don't have anything against them. I never did. It's really just that nothing ever really caught my eye. I was never really compelled to purchase their fragrances because typically the way I work is once I get into a fragrance brand or a fragrance house or a line of fragrances, I end up wanting to get all of them. I'm kind of a completionist. I mean, you just saw my collection video. I like to get a lot of fragrances from the same line, and I knew that once I got into Parfums de Marly, I was going to want to do the same thing. And also, I did laugh at this comment right here, someone saying that I would have reviewed them sooner if they sent me fragrances for free, like Roja did when they sent out their Parfum Cologne collection. Roja did send me their Parfum Cologne collection for free, but I was actually a customer for Roja Parfums before they sent that out. So, you know, I've supported the company before multiple times. I still do purchase their fragrances. No, Parfums de Marly did not send me Layton or any of their other fragrances. I purchased these on my own with my own money because, well, you guys wanted to see it. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be talking about Parfums de Marly Layton. This is one of the most popular of. This one is pretty much the most popular in the line. It's the one that really kind of put them on the map. This one was getting hyped and talked about and all sorts of stuff. And of course I had to pick it up, and it's the first one out of the three that I picked up that I'm going to be reviewing. So I hope you guys are ready to get into this. I hope you're ready to hear my thoughts on Parfums de Marly Layton. After so many requests and comments, let's start. So let's start out with how this fragrance smells. When you first spray this one on, what you notice right away in the opening is vanilla and apple. With that, a little bit of cinnamon as well, giving it a spicy touch. And I'll tell you, the initial blast, the first thing I thought of when I smelled this was fall. Like, I just thought of the season of fall. That's really what this kind of painted a picture of in my head when I sprayed it on the first time. I mean, you know, I've smelled this fragrance before from a sample, but it was a long time ago, like well over a year ago. So it's been a while since I've experienced this, you know, again, well over a year. But again, spraying it on this time and revisiting, you know, from my bottle and really kind of having some more time to test it, fall just instantly came to mind, and I can pretty much tell you right away, this is going to be a banger fall fragrance for me, and even into winter as well. I love the apple and vanilla mixture, and that is something that is pretty familiar with some other fragrances out there. One that comes to mind is Versace Eros. People kind of compare them, and the way I see it is, this fragrance almost reminds me of like a combination of YSL Homme and Versace Eros, or maybe not like you combine them together, but it reminds me of those types of fragrances. You know, I get the ginger spicy appleness from YSL Homme, and I get like the apple vanilla combination from Eros. You don't get any mint in this fragrance like an Eros, but just the apple vanilla coming from it and the ginger apple spiciness from Homme kind of comes together and creates this. And again, it's not a clone, or it doesn't smell exactly like any of those fragrances, but that's just kind of what I came to mind. Both of those fragrances do remind me a lot of fall and just of that type of season, and the way that this one is composed kind of puts it in that same genre, just the traditional warm spicy scent. And I gotta say, it smells amazing. I mean, when you first spray this one on, you're hit with that initial blast, and you do get some underlying notes in the base that really kind of come through and just give it a little bit more weight. Like for me personally, I get like a heavy sweetness underneath the apple and the vanilla. Like there's just something under there as well, kind of supporting those notes coming across up top. And that really goes to show that this fragrance actually has pretty good quality. I've kind of heard, you know, two sides of the spectrum here when it comes to Parfums de Marly and quality. Some people say they're very high quality. Some people say they're really not that high quality for the price that you're paying. Obviously, a niche house, these are going to be more expensive. And again, I haven't tried the whole line. I've only tried 3 of them so far. I've got Layton, and then Sedley and Percival. Those are the other 2 I picked up, which I'll talk about in other videos. Just working off of these 3 and talking about this one specifically, the quality comes across really good in this scent. Again, there's a lot of separation between these notes, and there's a lot of layers. Typically with fragrances that aren't quite as high quality, you can't smell the different layers. You can't really differentiate the notes as easily. They kind of smell flat. They kind of smell jumbled together. They don't have a lot of dimension. That's typically fragrances in the $20 range. Not all of them, obviously, but typically around in the $20 range. Not a whole lot of separation. But here with this one, I do notice really, really good quality, and that was something that I was surprised to see. The opening has to be my favorite part for me. It is breathtaking. It does smell great, and I gotta say, I do see where the hype comes from. I mean, this stuff smells amazing when you first spray it on, and it's addicting. Now, that's not to say the dry down smells bad. I do still really enjoy the dry down. Mainly in the dry down, I am getting the vanilla and some spices as well. And along with that, in the dry down, I am getting a little bit of lavender, a little bit of a spicy cardamom as well. But it does dry down very warm and sweet, and it's not a completely linear scent. It does develop quite a bit. And I do notice in the opening behind the sweetness, that kind of sweet layer that I was talking about, there's just a little bit of a freshness. And I'm not talking about freshness from the apple. I'm talking about, I don't know, there's something in there giving it like a little bit of a cooling effect. Almost actually like it does have mint, even though it doesn't smell like mint. You just know, like when you smell mint, it kind of gives you this cooling feeling in your nose. That's what I get from this. I don't smell mint, and I don't believe it's in there, but I do think there is something in there kind of giving it this minty type of feeling. Maybe you guys feel the same way, I don't know. But regardless, I have to say, I am very impressed with the scent profile and the quality overall. Not a bad scent by any means, and again, I see where the hype is coming from. The stuff is very nice. Now let's talk about performance. Now, unfortunately on me, it's a bit underwhelming, or at least compared to the other reviews I've looked at and all that stuff. Longevity on my skin, about 8 hours. So it gets pretty good longevity. 8, 9 hours, maybe 9.5, pushing 10. It really just depends on where I'm applying it, what I'm doing, if I'm maybe sweating it off a bit, or whatever. It always is going to vary a little bit. But what I notice is, for me, I don't get the best projection from it. Could just be my skin. Could just be my batch. I haven't ran the batch code on this or looked into batches or anything. Let's give you a look at that batch code down there. You may not be able to see it. It is 003901. I don't know if you can run these batch codes or not. Haven't looked into it, but I just don't get the best projection from it. Longevity, like I said, is good, and that's more than enough longevity. But from what I've seen, people typically talk about it being a lot stronger of a projector. And for me, that's not so much the case. It does push out when you first spray it on. And like when I sprayed it on my hand a minute ago, and as I'm flailing my hands around, I am catching whiffs of it. So it does push out, and it will kind of cast in the air. And that's one thing I do notice, is that this stuff does stick in the air pretty good. It has some hang time, so that's nice. I do wish the projection was a bit better. Could be a batch thing, could be a skin thing. I don't know. That's just my experience. But you guys know I'm not a fan of writing off fragrances because the performance may not be as good as you expected. So I don't want you to think that because I'm not getting the best projection out of it that it's not a fragrance you should look into. Because I still do think it is a nice smelling scent, and the quality and the overall composition of the notes makes up for the somewhat inadequate performance, at least on my skin. And I gotta tell you, like I mentioned earlier, for fall and winter, this is gonna be a hit. And even for spring, this is something I would wear a lot in spring. We actually do have a cooler week coming up this week. We had like an 80-degree day on a couple days ago, and now it's going back down to upper 50s, lower 60s. I'm going to be getting a lot of wearing time with this fragrance in that weather. That's about the sweet spot. 60s and below, I think is pretty good. Once we get into summer, I would probably only put it for summer nights. I think as a summer night date fragrance, or just a date fragrance in general, kind of an evening out close encounter fragrance, this would be killer. If you want to wear it in the daytime, I think you could. I would go a bit more casual because of the sweetness that it has. And it is going to be a good compliment getter as well. I mean, obviously testing it right now is, you can't, so I'm not speaking from experience. I'm just speaking from kind of smelling it and testing it and just seeing where it fits in. Now, warm, spicy fragrances like this work great, especially with apple, especially with vanilla, especially with cardamom, lavender. I mean, again, we look at something like Versace Eros, like YSL Homme, kind of a similar note breakdown here. And this is just a warm, spicy scent with a lot of sweetness. This type of thing is a recipe for compliments. And if you look online, you look at reviews, you see other people are saying the same thing. So I'm going to go and start to wrap this review up here. My final thoughts on Parfums de Marly Layton. I love it. I think it's great. And am I kicking myself for waiting so long to get a bottle? I am. I wish I would have gotten a bottle sooner. Like I just said, it didn't appeal to me all that much. I was focused on building up other fragrance lines. And again, I knew once I got them, I was going to be down the rabbit hole. I purchased all these 3 at once. I'm going to be looking into some more. I'm thinking Habdon is next, or Habdon. I think that one's going to be next. I've actually smelled that one from a sample as well. I'm looking at a few others as well. I would like to get Herod. I would like to get Godolphin. So there's a lot that I'm going to be picking up as well. Pretty impressed overall with the house, and especially with Layton. So thank you guys for watching, and thank you for suggesting me try this house out. It's been over a year. If you look at some of those comments in the beginning, over a year ago, people have been asking why I haven't reviewed them, and here we are. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, if you want to see more reviews on these coming up, make sure you get subscribed. Probably going to be doing Percival next. After that, we'll probably be doing Sedley. I'm going to try to spread them out a little bit. Try to get a Percival review out next week or so. And of course, I did purchase this fragrance from FragranceNet. If you want to pick it up from them, you can check out the link down below. That's about the cheapest price I could find it for on discount websites, so make sure you check it out down there. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow night with another one. Take care.